If someone were to ask you what the most important job was, what kinds would come to mind? Maybe doctors, firefighters, government jobs? Most people would not think to answer nuclear reactor power plant workers, but they work in a very dangerous field and protect us from disasters every day, except in the case of Chernobyl. You may be wondering, what is Chernobyl and why did you choose it? Well, in my junior year science class, I did a project over Chernobyl and was fascinated by the story, so I chose to dive deeper into the subject for my speech. Chernobyl is still relevant today because Chernobyl set the standard for many safety protocols at the time that are still in use today. These prevent many more potential accidents. The Chernobyl disaster was a tragic mistake that could have been prevented, but learning from this mistake has prevented other similar disasters from occurring. I'm going to first talk about what Chernobyl is and what caused the explosion, and then I'm going to explain why this disaster was preventable. What is the Chernobyl disaster? Chernobyl is a town in Ukraine in which a nuclear reactor power plant exploded in 1986, sending radioactive particles for miles. According to the Nuclear Energy Institute in 2019, the initial explosion and its effect killed 31 people, but it's reported that the radiation is responsible for types of cancer and defects in people to this day. How did the accident occur? According to the World Nuclear Organization in 2020, the Chernobyl 4 reactor crew was preparing for a test to determine how long the turbines would supply the reactor power if the main electricity was lost. Unfortunately, the reactor was in a very unstable condition and there was a power surge, which led to an immense increase in pressure, which caused the nuclear reactor to explode. The World Nuclear Organization also states that the explosion caused extremely dangerous amounts of radioactive substances to be released into the air for 10 days, and 160,000 people were forced to evacuate their homes in a 30-kilometer radius. The Chernobyl explosion was preventable. The main reason why is that the Chernobyl reactors were not up to safety standards. According to Alex Medvedev in his book, The Legacy of Chernobyl, in 2011, the Chernobyl reactor did not have protective containment structures like the American reactors did. According to the Nuclear Energy Institute website in 2019, the Ukraine reactors used graphite, where the American reactors used water. This sometimes led to a sharp increase in power production, so when the reactors overheated, power increased even more, leading to the explosion. The Chernobyl Nuclear Reaction Center was not prepared well enough for this type of emergency. According to an article in BBC published in 1999, the Chernobyl 4 reactor crew knew the dangers of the test being performed, but they went ahead with it anyways. Furthermore, the same article claims that, left to itself, the Chernobyl reactor would have shut down itself automatically, but the operators overrode the safety systems. They were improperly trained, and if this were not the case, the explosion would have probably never happened, and this tragedy could have been avoided completely. As I wrap up this speech, let's review what happened on that horrible day. The Chernobyl explosion was a horrible tragedy that was completely due to human error. It changed a lot of people's lives forever. But although tragic, this event was completely preventable, and it is crucial that these mistakes are learned from and not made again. Even though this event happened back in the 80s, it is still very important to remember the mistakes that led to major changes. In this case, that would be things like improved safety policies. Chernobyl was a tragic event, but it taught us as a country and planet on how to be more safe around these types of materials. So take a second to appreciate some of the unseen things that you may take for granted, like your safety, and appreciate what it took to get here. Thank you.